As they come my here, I don't carry and come. Better information, superb advertisement. We no get the rifle. Oh, to get update and get informed. Oh, come to Celestial Half Hour. Celestial Half Hour TV. Now we be the best information carrier.
Ẹ̀yin èèyàn mi gbogbo pátápátá lórílẹ̀-èdè ayé, pàápàá jùlọ àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá. Mo kí yín, ẹ káàárọ̀, ẹ káàsán, ẹ sì káalẹ́ ní gbogbo ibi tí ẹ wà lórílẹ̀-èdè àgbáyé tẹ́tí lórí ọ̀fẹ́ láti rí mi. Lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí, orúkọ mi ni Wòlíì Akínwùlùgbé Ayọ̀dèjì nínú ìjọ Ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀. Gbogbo ìgbà, gbogbo ọjọ́ lóminú máa ń kọ mí. In fact, ó máa ń dùn mí, ó máa ń ká mi lára pé I was born in Nigeria. Bí ọkàn mi ṣe rí, bí ọkàn onínúure, tó wù mí kí gbogbo ènìyàn ó jẹ́ pé irú ọkàn kan bá bẹ́ẹ̀ lájọ ní, ọkàn ìṣerere. Èyí tí Bíbélì sọ wípé ọkàn ìṣoore la ó mú ṣọ́ra. Ó wù mí kí gbogbo wa ká wà nínú ìdíṣe ìṣerere, ìṣòtítọ́ àti òdodo. Oh my God. Èyí kí èdè ṣe àbùkù má sí, kí irọ́ má sí, kí olè má sí, kí ìjà má sí. Ọlọ́wọ́ bọ́tì mi. Mo fẹ́ a situation whereby a máa ṣe kí ni, a máa pọ̀ tí lè kí nǹkan tí ò dá fúnra wa ní gbogbo ọjọ́ gbogbo ìgbà. A realize wípé àwọn aṣèjọba wa ò lè ṣaláìṣe láì purọ́. Níbo ni wọ́n fẹ́ gbé yín lọ? Ẹ má jà tanra wa jẹ. Alàgbà yẹn sọ mi ìrántí orúkọ wọn. Ó ní removal of fuel subsidy has yielded $80 billion. Àbí 80 billion naira dẹ̀ ní. Billion ṣáà ní. Whichever way they classify it. Nígbà tí ẹ bá rí 80 billion, kí ni reason tí ẹ fẹ́ fi yá 2.2 billion? Tí transparency bá wà, tó bá jódodo àtòtítọ́ lẹ̀ ń ṣe lórí ìṣèjọba, kí ni reason tí ẹ fẹ́ fi yá 2.2 billion? Nígbà tí ẹ máa gbé wa mọ́ra, you made us to understand pé ìjọba ti pa àwọn Boko Haram, ó ti lé wọn sá, wọ́n ti kúrò ní territory wa. Left for us to recount and count on the dead bodies. Tí committee tẹ́gbé kalẹ̀ sí, tí wọ́n wá ṣe kíni, tí wọ́n sympathize. We sympathize with the victims. We sympathize with the victims. Nigerians sympathize with the victim. Ọjọ́ wo lẹ fẹ́ stop this sympathetic situation? Ọjọ́ wo lẹ fẹ́ fòpin sí insurgency? Ọjọ́ wo lẹ fẹ́ fòpin sí kíni? Borrowing. Ẹ̀dà tí borrow títí, ẹ ti fà wọn tó ti kú, ẹ ti fọjọ́ ayé wọn borrow. Ẹ ti fà wá tó jẹ́ alive tá àlàyé, ẹ ti fi ọjọ́ ayé wa ẹ ti fi borrow. Ẹ tún ti pètèpè láti fi ọjọ́ ayé ti ṣàwọn oyún inú and the yet unborn. Ẹ fẹ́ fi wọ́n ṣe kíni, ẹ tún fẹ́ fi wọ́n borrow. Ṣé wọ́n fi borrow ṣe yín ni? Ẹ má ṣe mí gbọ́, ṣé wọ́n fi borrowing ṣé wọ́n fi ṣe yín ní Nàìjíríà borrowing tí wá wà nínú kíni ó ti wà nínú ẹ̀jẹ̀ wa àfàìmọ̀ káwọn ọmọ Nàìjíríà má tún dókè òkun náà kan tó lọ máa borrow nígbà tó jẹ́ pé ìka tó ti implement sínú ẹ̀jẹ̀ wa ni ẹ ti inject wa with borrowing bẹ́ẹ̀ bá dẹ̀ ti borrow yẹn tán ẹ̀yin jẹ kúrújẹrá ẹ̀ kò jẹ ìgbà yẹn lẹ́ máa ra oríṣiríṣi nǹkan tí ò yẹ kẹ́ rà ìgbà yẹn lẹ́ máa náwó lórí nǹkan tí ò yẹ kẹ́ náwó lé the key point tó jẹ́ problem orílẹ̀-èdè yìí you did not what solve it you did not approach it to bring it to book yáwó ẹ fi ra aircraft yáwó ẹ fi ṣe renovation yáwó ẹ fi ṣe gbogbo àwọn nǹkan wọ̀nyí in fact ẹ tún yáwó ẹ fi fly lọ sí unknown destinations yáwó ẹ fi lọ sí hajj ojú òkè ń tèyí ni ojú ń gbà wá ènìyàn àwọn amáṣẹ́sì ojú ń gbà wá ti ẹnì yáwó ẹ̀dá yàjẹ̀lú yáwó ẹ sọ wá sínú inflation yáwó ẹ kó wá sínú famine we are in famine today a wà nínú ìyàn lónìí torí owó tẹ yá yìí náà ni IMF wá wọn ké gbàjarè wọn ní kò sí gbogbo policy tẹ náwó lé lórí tó work they are yet to yield ní 18 months ọmọ tá a bá bí tí ò bá rìn lọ́dún kan wọ́n máa pè ní arọ mo fẹ́ kó yé yín ọmọ tá a bá bí tí a tọ́jú fòdìdí ọdún kan tí ò dìde rìn they will refer to him or her as a lame child arọ òrò ọmọ ọjọ́ wo la fẹ́ kó ní epileptic movement of policies epileptic movement of what of divert ideas and I say diverse ideas and diverted ideas ẹ wá pariwo máwọn tó ń bọ̀ àwọn tó ti ṣe kọjá lọ àmọ́ pé wọn ò ṣe dáadáa ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ní idea tẹ́fẹ́ fi correct ẹ̀ ẹni idea tẹ́fẹ́ fi correct ẹ̀ ló jẹ́ kẹwàá ẹni kọ́ yọ̀ yẹn sípò kíní kan wà nínú kọ́ra tí mo wò lánàá àwọn community member wa lójú sókè pàrọ̀ ìpè wọ́n ń gbé epo lọ sí 200 naira a máa gbé wálẹ̀ ẹ lọ fọkàn balẹ̀. That was 2023 election, campaign. Ṣe kárí yín dìmú nípa ọ̀rọ̀ yín that will take you by your words. Kí governance yín lè ṣe kí ni kó lè control respect. Obìnrin máa ń kọ mí, òun wá ń dùn mí pé why I found myself in Nigeria. Bẹ́ẹ̀ kẹ̀ ìlú Yorùbá ìlú tó ń sọ fún wàrà àti fún oyin ni ìlú tó dára ìlú òkè ẹlẹ́tù lójú kò sóhun tó fi wúlẹ̀ sínú ihò ilẹ̀ Yorùbá tí ò ní mú èrò tó dára jáde ilẹ̀ ọlọ́ràá ilẹ̀ tó ládùn nínú ẹ wo bẹ́ ṣe ṣe báṣubàṣu ẹ wo bẹ́ ṣe ṣe ìtàjẹ̀sílẹ̀ òun ló ń tẹ̀lé àìṣòdodo kò lè má ṣe yọrí wá kò sẹ́nikẹ́ni tó bá wà tí kò sòdodo tó máa ṣàṣeyọrí kò lè láṣeyọrí lọ́wọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ kẹ̀ àwọn olódodo kan sì wà lórí ilẹ̀ yìí tó jẹ́ wípé wọ́n mọ̀ tó ń ṣe o. Mo ń wo èyí tí ṣe kọ́mítì tí ìjọba yìí yàn fún àti look into this insurgency and this borrowing. Kí ọlọ́wọ́ bọ́tìn nílé agodo ń bẹ̀ yẹn kó ṣe kí ni kó bá wà gbé wá sókè kí gbogbo yín gbọ́. Kẹrí nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ní Nàìjíríà.
What budget, if we are not secured, is very, very important. And that's why, Mr. President, I will have to appeal to you to speak by giving the facts. Just continuing from where distinguished Senator Kakeshew stopped. In Chad, that is one of the black spots. We have joint task force already, but they are not equipped. They are not well trained. They are not motivated. In fact, the joint task force is headed by a Nigerian from Yobe State, General Yusuf. Now, what happened was actually all this while they know the line. They have like a border with the Chad Republic, and they never go there. When they went there and killed their people, the president led the operations, and that was what led to their success, and they moved over, and the first target is to dislodge our military around that Kereto and cut it away. In terms of replacing what the Chadian president led and recovered from them. What we need to do is still the same, sir. The Chadian government led the operation by their president. We are not saying that we should do that, but there should be a special operation because this problem is cancerous and is expanding. We are talking about them in Sokoto, Kebbi now. We are talking about them in Niger. They are going to Plateau. They are drawing the second cycle. The main purpose of government is security and welfare of its citizens. It's there in our constitution. We cannot change it.
That is it.
So everything should be focused on security. Because if we say it's Borno today, and we time it to discuss it slightly, saying that we should talk about it in 2 minutes, it will one day get to Kano. God forbid. But it tried to get to Kano. The Kano people stood up. That was how.
God forbid. God forbid. Odume said, God forbid. Gbogbo àwọn tó ti kọ̀ǹkọ́, all those that are affected, do they sin more than our sins against God? Ojoojúmọ́ ẹ̀ wọ́n pera yín jókòó. Ẹ pé bíríkótó. Ẹ máa discuss without action. Kò sí action now. Wọ́n kó wọn fún yín kẹ́ lọ fi jà ìjà. Kí ẹ ṣẹ́gun àwọn banditry, àwọn insurgents. Ẹ kówó mì. Ẹ kówó jẹ. Ẹ wá lẹ́ jókòó ẹ discuss ẹ 2 minutes discussion. Ohun tí ò lè gbé yín dé ìgbé. Ó máa mú mi nínú kan mi tí mo bá gbọ́. Ó mú in fact tí mo ṣe wo fọ́nrán yìí ní àná ní òru ọ̀gànjọ́ ó kà mí lára after my prayer section. Bàtí mi ò tètè rórun sùn kí n tó ronú bí Nàìjíríà ṣe ń lọ, kí n tó ronú bí àwọn ọmọ ṣe ń jẹun. In fact láti àkàtà mi lọ ó jẹ́ kí n mọ nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ nínú ilé olùkọ́ ẹnì kọ̀ọ̀kan. Adẹ̀sìrẹ́ ni tó ń fi tèmi tọrọ, àṣìrẹ́ tó ń fi situation mi àyè tí mo wà tó ṣe fi ń tọrọ. Mélòó wá làwọn tó wà less privileged tí ò ní irú ọ̀fẹ́ wọ̀nyí. Ẹ ṣe dáadáa o, ìjọba tó ń lọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́. and look into it. Tòótọ́ gbogbo ẹ̀kọ́ lọ̀rọ̀, gbogbo ẹ̀kọ́ ni Tinubu ṣe. Mo sọ̀rọ̀ kan lọ́jọ́ yẹn mo ní alàgbà Tinubu, according to the instruction given to me by God, pé kí n sọ fún yín, tẹ́ bá ti lè yan committee kan to look after what has been disbursed látòkè. Ẹ̀yàn committee ní grassroots táwọn people yẹn ò ní mọ̀, subcommittee rather, tí the main committee ò ní mọ̀ wípé wọ́n watch wọn. Kán lè ensure wípé àwọn nǹkan tẹ́ ẹran látòkè ò di grassroots, torí pé òfurufú ni gbogbo ẹ̀dá tó dúró sí o. Kò sí nǹkan tẹ́ ẹran tó máa jẹ́ kí ni benefit fún àwọn mẹ̀kúnnù, for the rationales that gets to them easily. Many of them were diverted to an unknown destinations. Listen, look at how the country is. Inflation. Look at all these reforms. IMF said they are not working. Last 18 months. It suggests ẹni ẹ ti pa àwọn olórọ́lùlú tó tó pa wọ́n ní pàkópa yìí. Àkọ́bẹ̀tì kan wájú kò sí. Wọ́n ní we are sorry. We are sorry. They should accept your condolences. Àwọn èèyàn wá pa wọ́n untimely death. Wọ́n blast wọ́n pa wọ́n dànù. Ọlọ́run bọ́tí rẹ̀ jẹ́ ká tún gbọ́ síwájú lọ́nà. Káwọn èèyàn kí gbogbo aráàlú kan tún gbọ́ síwájú sí i.
Kano is still standing. If not, the late Ado Bayero was nearly killed. So, Mr. President, this is an occasion where the Senate must be responsible. We should stand up to the occasion and demand. The late president, the Senate president before, Senator Amelan, during his tenure, three times, we set up a committee. And at one time, we invited everybody. We pushed, and you were the chairman appropriation then, and we pushed the government to approve 809 billion to procure the Tucano. But it was wrongly used. You went and procured Tucano while we needed attack helicopters. If we have attack helicopters in around that area now, this Boko Haram will not even go there, because the Chadians went there with only 2 attack helicopters. Right now, the joint task force you are talking about have only 1 helicopter.
Abacha Sogeniko, only when an insurgent lasted for 24 hours in the country, it has the hands of the government inside. The insurgency last for 24 hours. Late former ex-president Abacha Sobe, only to last for 24 hours. Olówó ìdíṣekínní, olówó ìjọba nínú. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń ṣèjọba yìí náà, ẹ̀yin ní kíni pioneer, ẹ̀yin lẹ́ fọ̀nà àwọn kíni àwọn agbésùmọ̀mí wọ̀nyí láti ja ìlú yìí lógun. Àwa sọ fún yín pé àjọṣepọ̀ wa ò lè lọ títí mọ́. Ó ti tó gẹ́ kí Yorùbá rìn kúkú láàrin yín. Tẹ́ bá fẹ́ para yín gbà yín kẹ́ lọ máa para yín. Òun lè ṣe retí àwọn ìdíṣe kíni IPOB àbí kí ni Biafra rárá tí wọ́n náà wọ́n lọ. Ìdí ni ẹ̀tẹ́bílí tí Yorùbá pariwo pa wá lọ. Ṣé kò yẹ kó yé wá sí? Gbogbo ojoojúmọ́ lẹ máa wá, tẹ máa pariwo, tẹ máa sọ̀rọ̀, they should accept your condolences. Tẹ máa sympathize pẹ̀lú wọn. Ẹ wo ohun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́wọ́. Ẹ wo ohun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ nígbà yẹn Akérédolú. Bí àwọn tẹ́kùn ṣe wà bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn tó nígbà yẹn, ẹ wo bó ṣe ṣe wọ́n ránṣẹ́ nínú ilé ìjọsìn. Ẹ wo bó ṣe ń ṣẹlẹ̀ bó ṣe ṣẹlẹ̀ ní Plateau, bó ṣe ṣẹlẹ̀ ní Sokoto, bó ṣe ṣẹlẹ̀ ní Borno yìí náà. Ṣé bó ṣe máa rí lọ rèé? Ṣé bó ṣe máa rí lọ rèé? gbogbo ẹ̀yin àgbààgbà nínú ilé ìjọsìn ẹ̀dẹ̀ rí ẹ̀dẹ̀ dákẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ kẹ̀ àwọn aláìlẹ́nìyàn àwọn tí ò lórí ọ̀fẹ́ àwọn tí ò lẹ́nu níbẹ̀ tó sẹ́ni máa gbọ́ wọn ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìyà ló ń jẹ wọ́n lábẹ́lẹ̀ tí wọ́n lè ké síta bó tiẹ̀ ké síta kò sẹ́ni tó fẹ́ gbà wọ́n. Chad àbúkọ́ ní sọ́nbẹ̀ yẹn sí wọ́n ní kí ni Chad lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ lọ́kọ́ helicopter méjì tó pọ̀ bá àwọn insurgents tó dẹ̀ destroy wọn ní territory wọn òun rè ní territory Nàìjíríà. Ibi tàdé sọ pé ń wà yìí ẹ mọ̀ tí Gumi bá lè lọ máa negotiate pẹ̀lú wọn gbogbo yín pẹ́pẹ́ tó tẹ̀ ṣe ìjọba lẹ́ mọ̀ bí tó wà. Àìṣòdodo ló ṣáájú yín lẹ́ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ mọ́ tẹ́yẹ pé ṣe. Ìtàjẹ̀sílẹ̀ wa ń pọ̀ sí lójoojúmọ́ ó ń pọ̀ sí ó ń pọ̀ sí ó ń pọ̀ sí bẹ́ẹ̀ kẹ́ ń ṣe ẹlẹ́dẹ̀ ń ẹ fi ìtàjẹ̀sílẹ̀ fi rà gbà padà fúnra yín. Báyìí kọ́ ló mọ̀ máa rí lọ. Olóòtú ọlọ́wọ́ bá tè tó bá mi gbé sókè.
So the Senate should, the mover of the motion should amend this motion, and let's be blunt about it. Let's ask the government to do the right thing. And I'm sure that if we tell the president what to do, he will do it. He will do it. So let us stand up and say that we are just approving a borrowing.
That is to say, Kayarimo president lọ́wọ́ nìyẹn. If we have to tell we should tell the president ìtumọ̀ ẹni pé Kayarimo lọ́wọ́. We can do it. A lè ṣe insurgency will go. Láti 18 months sásìkò yìí, we are still counting on excess killing of the citizens. Ẹni tó kàn ló mọ̀, ẹni tó kàn ló mọ̀, ẹni tó kàn ló mọ̀, ó jọ mí lójú, ó jọ mí lójú ẹ̀yin èèyàn mi, ó jọ mí lójú. Alàgbà Sunday Igboho dìde nígbà tó kàn wọ́n torí pé ó kàn wá tán ó pariwo tó bí ọmọ ọkọ ó dìde ó wọnú aginjù lọ bá wọn láti quit wọn kúrò lórí ilẹ̀ wa. Ẹ lóhun tó ṣe ẹnìkan tó rọ̀ǹgì ni lẹ́yìn ikú alàgbà Aborode tí wọ́n pa ní Panafọ́sù àti màmá tó ní filling station tí wọ́n pa lọ́jọ́ wọn ni. Ẹ wá ní wọn ọmọ tó ń ṣe ẹ láwọn ọmọ tó ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe máa rí gbàrò títí lórí ìdíṣe ìṣèjọba yìí nìyẹn tí ìlú afẹ́ ẹ̀rùn tó lẹ́yìn lórí bí ẹ ò bá pín ìlú yìí. This country must be splitted. There must be secession. Agitation tó ń lọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ní gbogbo orílẹ̀ náà ẹ̀yin náà fúnra yín rí kò sóhun tẹ́lẹ̀ fi kọ́ọ̀bù ẹ bí kì bá ṣe pé kẹ́ṣe kí ni kẹ́ pé kólúkúlùkù máa lọ kólúkúlùkù máa lọ lọ ẹ kólúkúlùkù máa lọ lọ ẹ. Ọwọ́ Ọlọ́run ti wà lára Nàìjíríà. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wá ṣèjọba yẹn wá wà nínú ìkíyèsára kí ọwọ́ Ọlọ́run má lọ wọ̀ yín lára kọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run má lọ sí kíni kó má tì bọ̀ yín lára torí tó bá tì bọ̀ yín lára Ọlọ́run á máa wọ̀ yín as a stumbling block. Kò dẹ̀ sí kan tó tẹ̀ kọ́ Ọlọ́run láti ṣe kíni láti take care of you. Mo gbàdúrà ọba tó ní gbogbo agbára kó wo ilẹ̀ wa sàn. Àmín Jésù. Wákàtí àdúrà rèé kí Ọlọ́run kó wo ilẹ̀ wa sàn.
Àmín Jésù.
ilẹ̀ Yorùbá Ọlọ́run bá wa wò ó sàn.
Àmín Jésù.
Gbogbo agbára tó lè fẹ́ pa wá tó ló fẹ́ gbalẹ̀ wa mú wa lọ́wọ́ bí àjòjì gòdògbò wọ̀nyí ẹ̀mí mú ìpà tí wọn kúrò pátápátá.
Àmín Jésù.
Ẹ sọ wá dòmìnira. Ó kọ mí lóminú nígbà mìíràn tí mo bá gbọ́ àwọn ènìyàn ẹ wo inú onínúure láàárín àwọn ènìyàn wọ̀nyí bó ṣe gbé ọ̀rọ̀ kalẹ̀ wo ọlọ́wọ́ bọ́tì bá mi tún gbé sókè.
About 2.2 billion to fund the budget. What budget if we are not secured?
2.2 billion.
So, Mr. President, I'm sorry, I've taken much more time, but let us take this thing more serious. It can be done in 1 week. It can be done.
Thank you.
80 billion from oil subsidy. Tell it to gather. Tell it to discover, retrieve, or recover. Níbo lẹ kó sí tẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ 2.2 billion. To do what? To supplement the budget. Ẹyẹ tora yín. Bó bá yí afẹ́fẹ́ afẹ́, a rí fùrọ̀ adìyẹ. A rí fùrọ̀ adìyẹ. Afẹ́fẹ́ ti fẹ́ díẹ̀díẹ̀. Ṣèbí 2.2 billion péré, òun lẹ́ sọ́pà yìí nínú 89 billion or 80 billion thereabout. Ṣé kò ṣe yọ níbẹ̀? Ẹ ti fi san gbèsè. Gbèsè tẹ́wọ̀n predecessor yìí san àti tó jẹ sílẹ̀ fún wa. Ṣé òun lẹ́ fi san? Abẹ́ ti kó jẹ́. Àtẹ́ ní iye kówó mi. Nàìjíríà láti rí elephant tó ń mi owó. Nàìjíríà láti rí kí láti rí ejò tó ń kówó mi. Python dance lóríṣiríṣi. Olórin tó kọ báwo ni ó ṣe làájá. Jésù ọba iye báwo ni wọ́n ṣe làájá. Bàbá ràn mí lọ́wọ́ òkun nílé ayé kò máa ṣẹ̀dá tó lè wẹ̀ ẹja nípa oore ọ̀fẹ́ Jésù la lè fi yege. Yorùbá báwo la ó ṣe làájá bàbá tọ́ wa sọ́nà o. Ẹ̀yin ọmọ Yorùbá mo fẹ́ fi àkókò ìkégbàjarè fún yín pé no retreat no surrender. Mo ní bàbá Tinubu fúnra ẹ̀ mọ̀ pé à ń lọ. He knows. No amount of persuasive words of what conspiracy to lè hold Nigeria down tàbí Biafra. Ọlọ́bọ̀tì jẹ́ ká gbọ́ gbogbo nǹkan tó sọ níbẹ̀ yẹn. Mo fẹ́ kúrò nínú studio yìí bí.
Thank you very much. Even the super.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this again is an indication that we are not able to capture every piece of our land from the insurgents. That is unfortunate. But before I comment on what we need to do, let me commend our military for working so hard to ensure that we secure our lands and protect our territorial integrity. Mr. President, the story is we don't have enough boots on the ground. So we need a task force of some sort that the military is able to occupy areas that it could capture, and police and other security agencies will now be moved in to re-establish civilian authority. Mr. President, Boko Haram was defeated at one point almost completely. Some will say technically defeated. But what is important to an average citizen is not technically or completely. Our citizens, our indigents need safe and secured towns and cities and hamlets. So the case of our brother from Borno North is a case that we must ensure that we do something. This we can do together with the executive arm of government. In the prayers, I think the request is for the Air Force and the Army. This is a normal joint operational activity, and therefore the Chief of Defense Staff is supposed to be at the helm of this particular affair, and the services can come in. But we are also lucky, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, that we are yet to pass the budget for 2025. We should look at this, and indeed similar areas that are challenged in this kind of situation. Because no matter what we do, no matter how hard we wish and we could provide infrastructure, the infrastructure can only be useful to the people if they are safe and protected. So I believe that we should tailor some resources in this area, and let's find out which are the areas. Is it in the northwest? Is it in the north central? Is it in the southeast or south-south or southwest that are not in our hands? We need to recapture them. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for the privilege.
Senate.
Distinguished colleagues, once more we are faced with another round of debate and speeches on the issue of insecurity. I seize this opportunity, therefore, to sympathize with my colleague and brother, Senator Mongunu, and commiserate with the families of those affected in this current imbroglio. Mr. President, it is sad that we are talking about this issue in spite of the spirited efforts by the government and the armed forces of Nigeria and all other security agencies involved in combating the menace of insecurity. Mr. President, as rightly pointed out by the mover of this motion, time was when the activities of Boko Haram was literally wiped out or decimated. But we will continue to have this recurring decimal in Borno in particular, and then in some other parts, other forms of insecurity activities taking place. Mr. President, like he rightly pointed out, there was a time that this thing was literally nipped in the bud. But unfortunately, I think that what we failed to do was taking some proactive measures to ensure that these insurgents did not come back to the cities. At a point, the idea of holding forces was mooted, in which it was agreed that a special force be trained specifically to hold the liberated areas where Boko Haram activities were taking place. But unfortunately, Mr. President, as it were, nothing of that nature has happened. And so it becomes very easy for Boko Haram and its agents to come back to areas that have been liberated by our armed forces. Mr. President, I think it was suggested on the floor of this Senate before that it doesn't solve our problem if we continue to debate and provide solutions to the problem of insecurity, especially the activities of Boko Haram, if we do not if we do not muster the sufficient courage to give a kind of timeline to our armed forces and our security agents to nip these insecurity activities across the country. Mr. President, I think it is not correct, because I know that the Nigerian military and security agencies are professional enough to know when to start a war and when to end a war. I am not sure that those of us who are living witnesses to the Biafran war noticed that the Biafran war took this long to nip in the bud. Whether it is asymmetrical or normal war, I think that we must find answers to the solution to the problem of our insecurity. And so once more, while I sympathize with the people of the local government occupied by the Boko Haram insurgents, I want to urge the armed forces and our security agents to take very proactive actions in liberating these communities from the hands of these insurgents. I thank you, Mr. President.
Do we give you time to speak on that? But they need time to go and prepare the votes and proceed. He just told me now. So please, Senator Alindeme, order, please. Order, please. I appeal to you to speak for 2 minutes so that we can go and prepare the votes and proceedings. Otherwise, it will be too late for them to prepare the report, and the entire transaction in respect of the loan will now be in jeopardy if you don't get everything done within this short time available to us. Former leader of the Senate, you have the floor.
Thank you.
It was Borno, but it is everywhere now. Most of us cannot easily visit and dine with our electorates because our villages are no more safe. President of the Senate and my colleagues, even 3 days ago, my constituents were killed by these terrorists. I personally feel, just as contributed by Senator Ahmed Lawal, that the 2025 budget is about to come to us. I feel that apart from acquiring more weapons, we need more recruit of personnel into our security agencies, because the ratio of our population to security personnel is very low. We must deliberately appropriate more funds for recruitment of our youths into the security forces. When we have that, sir, it will take care of unemployment and will also provide security to our people. Our villages are not safe. And if our electors are not safe, we are not safe too, sir. I pray that...
Thank you very much. Your time is up.
Sir. I agree, sir.
By our leader, Senator Monguno. This issue of insecurity, especially the issue of Boko Haram, is risk-spacing gradually. Even in some part of Yobe State, a lot of local governments in Yobe State that are bordering this local government he mentioned are also facing the same problem, the same attacks. You can remember that there are some attacks 2 months ago in Mafa in Tarmua local government of Yobe State, where a lot of people were killed and a lot of properties were destroyed by these Boko Haram insurgents. Recently also, there are a series of attacks in Gaidam local government in Yobe State and Yunusari local government in Yobe State. Those local government are also bordering these areas he had mentioned. Therefore, I totally align myself with the suggestion by His Excellency, the leader, the former President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawal, that a serious action should be taken to curtail these issues of Boko Haram that are resurfacing now recently. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Wadada Ahmed Aliyu. You have the floor.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I remain Senator Ahmed Wadada Aliyu Sarkin Yakin Kefi, the famous horse rider. Of course, the importance of this motion cannot be overemphasized. And I think by all intent and purposes of commitment, our colleagues have spoken and virtually have said it all, with the exception of what I am going to say. Regardless of where these bandits are from, they are locally incubated or internationally coordinated. They cannot achieve their set objectives fully in any local environment if they do not have some level of support of the natives or locals there. And so, to weaken them is one of the things that makes it much easier for them to recruit our youth, is because of poverty. Hunger is a major vehicle.
Ẹ̀gbọ́n nǹkan tí alàgbà yẹn sọ, ó sọ òtítọ́ gbáà, and ìgbà míì tá a bá sọ òtítọ́ ní ká má sọ wọn o. Mi ò ní fẹ́ pẹ́ lórí ètò yìí bí ẹ ṣe ń gbọ́, ṣùgbọ́n màá fẹ́ kí gbogbo wa pátápátá ká pẹ̀lú pọ̀ síbì kan, ká jẹ́ kí ìjọba mọ̀ pé kò tẹ́ wa lọ́rùn bí gbogbo ẹ̀ ṣe ń lọ yìí. Àwọn tó dé bá àwọn ló mọ̀ o, àwọn tó kàn ló mọ̀ o. Àwa tá jìnnà síbẹ̀ yẹn tí ò kàn wá, tí ò dọ́dọ̀ wa, Ọlọ́run ò ní jẹ́ kó dọ́dọ̀ wa. Gbogbo àwọn tó dẹ̀ ti dọ́dọ̀ wọn, k'Ọlọ́run kó jọ̀wọ́ kó bá wa rẹ̀ wọ́n lẹ́kún, kó stop ẹ̀, kó jẹ́ kí ibi náà kó dáwọ́ dúró. It's not an easy task. We must all speak out against such. Alàgbà Bọ́lá Ahmed is a person that have a listening ear. Tí gbogbo wa bá fẹnu mọ̀ síbi kan pé this must be stopped, he will know how to command his warriors to stop it once and for all. Ẹni tó kàn ló mọ̀ o, ẹni tó ti kàn máa yọ o. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin ọmọ Yorùbá pátápátá àti jagunjagun wa, mo bẹ̀ yín, ẹ dúró wámúwámú, ẹ dúró dáadáa, ẹ dúró dáadáa. Láìpẹ́ láì jìnnà àtúnpadà bọ̀ à ń lọ sílẹ̀ àgọ́dọ̀ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ yìí sí.
Better information, superb advertisement, we no get it right far.